Hola, Wagwan. I have nothing real pressing to say. It's just sometimes I'm just like doing this laptop, and all of a sudden I'm like, just hit record. So here I am on the spot. Boom. Because social media is a thing, and we're all in quarantine, and there's a lot of messages and transmissions just going all over the place, and it's amazing how many of us there are, and the situation at hand, and the truth of reality, and what it really is. It's just like, wow, super rad, man, super rad, super rad. So yeah, what the heck, it's like, you spend the whole day in silence, and then maybe you can say something useful. And what is useful? What is truly practical in this time? Is it is it useful to be afraid? Is it useful to be scared? Is it useful to do the same shit we've been doing always and forever, except without the interruption of work and the rat race? Is it useful to cultivate the same habitual patterns that we've always been propagating and perpetuating? Is it useful to know that we're in many ways fucked? But birth comes from fucking, and so the situation is a crossroads, and depending on how we approach it and what our way is will determine our course. And so that's the reality. We're being faced with reality, the reality that we as modern peoples have put off and off and off and off with our distractions and our lusts and our affairs with bullshit. We have really surrendered our true potential for little petty things. Our well-being we have sacrificed for tastes. We have sacrificed our well-being for fleeting nothing. We've enjoyed all that we could, and look, the show's over. Okay, because this is the thing about this virus situation, in that the government and everyone who's bought the thing, and I'm gonna say stuff about quarantine right now because I actually really think it's great. But I do not think quarantine is great because I believe that's what we need to do to protect everyone, and that's what's really going to work. I believe it's going to partially work. And so that's what I want to talk about now. And like, maybe you hear this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't need to get one view on this. It doesn't matter because we're all in this together, and word is sound is power. And so, it's So what I'm saying is that we're at a crossroads. And when you're at a crossroads, it's good to look both ways, and look both ways more than once. And to open up your eyes before you go forward. And to really, check, okay, what street am I at? Am I going the right way? Oh no, do we have a chance now to realize we made a wrong turn somewhere along the way? Do we have a chance now to correct our course, to correct our yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that we now have the opportunity to connect with ourselves and adjust our pattern of living. We can adjust how we eat, and that's not just food, that's what we read, that's what we watch, that's what we listen to, that's what we think about. And we also eat what we put out, and so everything you put out does come back to you in one way or another. And so the thing about this quarantine, and I don't know what any of the other governors are saying, but I live in New Jersey, and this governor is posting all the time, and I see what he's saying, and I see what everyone's commenting on, and where all the chickens and the sheep are at, and it's like, wow, man, it's like, and it depends on how you see this, because in certain regards, this whole situation is not that bad, but then in other regards, it's really bad, and not really bad, like, where I'm from, I don't really see things as good and bad, but I do, there's just, there's natural laws, okay? There's natural laws, and in our vain imagination, we have in our vain imagination, we have been we've gone way astray. We've gone way astray, and in our fear of fictitious laws and being persecuted and fined for stupid, petty things, we have consented to illusion. We have consented to lies and deceit. We have upheld the false. We have taken what is wrong, and we have proclaimed it as right. And we have taken things that are just not good for anybody, and we think it's the best thing ever. And so this quarantine and what the governors and the peoples are saying, like everyone's like, we got it. If you just stay in your house, it's gonna be good. But the thing is, like, the real reason this virus has the power that it has is because of what we have been doing for so long within the houses that we are now quarantined within. In our houses, we have our livity, and our lifestyle is really what makes a difference in how we are able to react or respond to external environmental factors. Now, these diseases, are with us all the time, and yes, they do mutate and they do change, but the genetic potential, the genetic expression of humans is also up for changing and modification. Your whole system can change over the course of time in increments, but also very rapidly as well. And so the thing is that if you take all these people who live a certain way and you say, okay, stay home, now not only are you going to freak out and become totally restless and insane and really see how insane they ordinarily are, so that the ordinary insanity that's always there is now just like, woo. It's like when people don't like to smoke herb because it makes them feel uncomfortable because there's always something there, and then you smoke and it puts it in your face and you're like, wow, herb makes me feel uncomfortable. No, you just have a really toxic mind state, and you've been cultivating a lot of detrimental habits, and the herb is trying to help you out. But you can't just you have to work with it. And so what I'm saying is that if you take all these people and they live a certain way, and because they live a certain way, they are now susceptible to disease, and you put them in the place, their home, where they have ingrained these patterns, and you don't tell them anything practical. You don't say anything about, hey, look into natural medicine, look into herbs, look into beneficial, positive, proactive practices for your personal well-being. All the governor can say is that you better stay in the house, otherwise we're gonna take money from you or put you in a jail. We're gonna bleed you out even further still, because that's all this government does. That's all this court system does. They call it a court of law, and that's what it is. It has nothing to do with justice. It's the law, and it's a bloody thing because all they do is bleed out the populace. You make one little simple mistake, and then they ask you for all your fucking money, which you don't have, and then it's just, that goes on and on and on and on. And so, okay, you want us to stay inside and just ride it out? And everyone is accepting that as the truth. Yeah, we just have to stay inside and we'll be all right. It'll blow over. It'll blow over. Okay, first off, China is blamed for being the origin of it, but this thing is practically damn near invisible. It cannot be seen with the naked eye. And so how can you really, really, really say where it came from? Especially being in America and China's all the way over there. And the only information you have comes through a screen read to you, or a paper typed to you, like printed, So you really can't know where it came from. So it doesn't matter where it came from. It came from the same place we are, right here, right now, on Earth. And since it doesn't matter where it came from, and you really can't, you really can't say where it's gonna go. You don't know where it came from, so how can you predict where it's gonna go? And so how are you ever going to really be able to tell when the coast is clear? How are you going to know? How long do we have to be in quarantine for? You know, how can you tell when the invisible enemy is no longer there? Especially given the fact that it seems to be able to be kind of, you know, within people without symptoms necessarily manifesting. So you kind of have a sort of perfect storm here. And so, since you can't really tell where it's going, you can't tell if it's really there or not, and mostly everyone who's going on about everything doesn't really know much at all about biological function. The common people don't really know much at all about natural laws. They don't really know about basic biological principles. And so the situation, as much as everyone just wants to get back to their circus and their fanfare, this situation is serious. Serious for everyone who refuses to adjust their being and put the realness as a priority. And the thing about the realness is it really doesn't require much. The realness, it ultimately, it manifests as well-being, okay? And it's strange because all my life I've been trying to convince friends and family to, like, strive for well-being. And over the years, it seems like one by one, they kind of, you know, would rather have something else that instead of well-being. I don't know, it's confusing, but it makes sense, but it's all strange. So right now we have the opportunity to finally really accept that we are here to experience a better life than what we've been presented by the powers that are failing, by our culture, our society. We have a chance now to either succumb and perish or ascend. And ascension is nothing like some kind of ethereal, magical light show. Ascension is finally not suffering, because you recognize certain basic things. You recognize that your tongue misleads you. You've been trained and conditioned and groomed to not be able to give up pleasure for your overall greater well-being. You have an entire culture who generates most of its revenue on stabbing each other in the back to their face. You know, this culture is literally like, you walk in the door, hello, how you doing, nice to see you, yada yada yada, let me bring you up, let me sell you this, let me make this for you, hug, stab. Oh, that product that you just got because it's a free country and you have free will and you just want to do what you want to do. Yeah, give me your money, give me your energy for this thing that's going to sap your energy. It's really good. It's a really good policy depending on who you are in this whole thing. And so you have all these good people destroying each other because that's how we do it. You know, it's good business. You know, it's a free country, bro. It's a free country. And now we're seeing how free we really are. We're so free on this planet that we can't even stand up to an indivisible force. We're so free. We're so free to laugh at, you know, we're so free to laugh at proper living. We're so free to laugh at someone who practices discipline. We're so free to laugh at putting our wants aside for and honoring needs. We're so free to laugh that now we're suffocating. We're choking on our own shit. Because the way that these viruses and these bugs and these whatever you want to call these things, the way they work, the way they get their power to hurt us, has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with what we have been cultivating here, this vessel. It has to do with what we've been consuming through all of our channels, through all of our gates, through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, what we have been consuming, and then what we have been producing. And nature is just. The natural world, the way things really work is just, and you get what you give. And what you do to yourself, you do to others, and what you do to others, you do to yourself. And so when you don't honor yourself, the thing is like if people are all saying that if you don't, stay in quarantine, you're putting everyone at risk. And meanwhile, what is everyone doing in quarantine? And that's a question to ask ourselves, because I really don't know. I'm assuming what people are doing in quarantine. And so what I'm saying is that if people are in quarantine and they're doing the same thing that they've always done, but to a greater extent, because now that work's not in the way, we can just jerk off and stuff our faces with processed food and artificial bullshit and just, rain, go away while I, binge watch and just sit here and degrade. No, this is the time to step up. This is the time to activate. This is the 11:59, 12:01, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Attention, this is reality coming. What have you been up to? Because the only way that these little bugs and viruses, whatever you want to call them, can hurt you is if you are already compromised. And the only thing that has ever compromised yourself is your own self and your own ways. And so the only solution, the only correction, the only cure is also with yourself. And it's fortunate that the cures are actually simpler and easier than what's being presented. The cures are actually easier than, complaining about this whole thing. Because because all they're saying to us is if you stay inside, it's gonna work. But what I'm saying is if you stay inside, what's changing? What exactly is changing? And so what I'm trying to say is that I think the quarantine can potentially even backfire for everyone who does not heed the message, to heed the signs. To say like, hey, wow, we have been living a certain way for so long, and we have been living this way because we believe we are free, and right now we are seeing that we aren't free, and now we are feeling like we're trapped in a cage. And what do you do in times like this, What do you do? And that's the thing. People are trying to figure out what to do. How do I pass my time with this? How do I pass my time? Come on, can we just... And then there's just all this crazy chaos. So let me say what we should do. We should look to God, and to do that we should look within. And to look within, we should calm down and rein in the mad senses and the mad ways and habitual patterns of living. We should calm down, settle down, and take this opportunity to open our eyes and crack open a book or type in a Google search and start reading about things that are practical and important. To start investigating the nutritional science, to start investigating herbal medicine, to start investigating yoga, to start investigating spirituality, start investigating these things. To start practicing healthy living, healthy breathing. To maybe dabble in some fasting. To maybe dabble in, I don't know. Cause it's the thing is with what this really comes down to is how we live, and the main thing about our living is what we're consuming, okay? And it seems like because of the rat race and how it is, we have not had the time to really try to be healthier. We have not had the time to educate ourselves, because really healthy eating is a pretty big undertaking, because it's just a lot. It's also very simple. And I really hope that people find something, without so much trouble, now that we have the time to really do this. Now that everything's on pause, and information is freely available. There's so much information available now. Everything you could want to know, any question you would ever have is right there. And so something that I did for the longest time when I was on my journey of cleaning up my eating was that I would read ingredients. I would use my ability to read, and I would read the ingredients, and I would just go through and Google search every ingredient. It's pretty easy. It's just a systematic way, and it takes time, but really it doesn't take that much time. You read ingredients, you look them up, you see what they are. Maybe Google search Ayurveda, Google search Tai Chi, Google search yoga, Google search things that are good, practical. Let's be practical. And then let's start cultivating food. This is something we all need to do. We all need to start cultivating food and medicine. There is no excuse for not having medicinal herbs everywhere. Sage, thyme, rosemary, ganja, cannabis, mugwort. I mean, Tulsi, the list goes on and on and on and on. There's so much potential and opportunity for us. And right now we have it. Thank God that this is not happening in the fall and the winter. Thank God it's spring and summer. We are literally in a prime position to really take this curveball and smack it out of the freaking park. It is really blessed, man. And I hope everyone can recognize that and help each other with this, man. If you don't know what to do with yourself, all you can do is watch media. Yo, come on, man. Wise up. Affirm yourself. And stop giving your power away to lying people, to the government, to the media, to your friends and family's fear-based information. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Love. Love, prayer, reflection, study, meditation, cultivation, gardening. The cure, there are cures for all of this, and they're not going to be invented. The cures have been here for a long time, and we've been led astray. And here's our chance. Here's our chance. So peace. Peace and love. Clarity, truth, insight, overstanding. God bless.